Welcome, movie fans. Thanks for joining us for episode 96 of Reading Between the Reels, the premier podcast of feature-length Aerosmith music videos. If you're a new listener, we're so glad you found us. And if you've been enjoying the show, please subscribe and tell someone about us. Post on X or Facebook, write an iTunes review, or just recommend the show to a friend. I'm Craig Dickinson, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-hosts Corey Heitschmidt and Justin Eldon. What's up, fellas? How we doing tonight?
Pretty good. Old Captain America there just blew the intro by 26 seconds.
I'm just over here trying to figure out and make a list of why you need a machine gun on the front of an asteroid drill. But okay,
not just a machine gun, but like a rotating,
like a Gatling gun.
Why would you have an A-10 Gatling gun on a rock?
Have we even said what movie we're doing yet?
Baby.
What are you doing with a gun in space?
It's Armageddon, baby.
It's Armageddon.
So much. That's my overall thought. I love this movie. Justin, who informed us just before we started recording that he has now only seen this movie twice and a long distance between the viewings. I'm going to start with you, Justin. What are your overall thoughts on Armageddon?
First in high school at my friend's house. I want to say the year was 2005. And my second viewing was about 10 minutes ago. I finished it. So I was very much procrastinating watching this film. I was hoping that the Armageddon would happen before I had to sit through this because I remember not liking it at all. And Craig has given me so much crap about my love of the movie Face Off that I assumed that maybe this was revenge and he was making me watch this. But I enjoyed it. I need a thesaurus. I need a different word. It was a movie. Things happened. And then it ended. And I was entertained.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah.
Entertained. Corey?
All right. What can we say about Armageddon? I mean, this movie defines 1998. I know there was this other one that came out around this time, and it's good too, but it is no Armageddon. I mean, this is Michael Bay classic. This is everything Michael Bay. You want big explosions? We got them. You want rockets flying off into space? We got them. You want some CGI that still holds up to this day, 30 years later?
No, it
we
doesn't.
Got it.
Not even a little bit.
You want some nonsensical technobabble? We got it. You want a soundtrack that is absolutely phenomenal, and the movie is basically just one giant like video of the soundtrack? Yes, we got that too. And you want Bruce Willis because it's the 90s? Yep, we got Bruce Willis. So, I mean, this movie is fantastic. How you cannot watch this movie and not love it. Everything about this movie screams 1998, screams a story that has some Macho Man Bruce Willis lines delivered in Macho Man Bruce Willis best fashion. The only thing I don't understand about the movie is what space dementia is. I've never heard that term. NASA, apparently, I don't know if they actually have a thing for space dementia. But this movie's great. I've loved it then. I love it more now. If it's on, you pause and you watch part of this show. You stop surfing. You just get to the show. And you're like,
part of this show.
You're like, I'm going to watch just a little bit of this. And it's a good advertisement for animal crackers, I'll say as well.
Animal cookies. Let's
animal cookies.
Let's normalize
cheese on a
that.
cracker. Yeah. Okay.
It's got a good point. So
I love it. So there you go. I love it. I still quote it to this day. It's a movie that I think everybody has some lines from.
You know, this is not surprising to me because Corey is a huge fan of Michael Bay and his Transformer movies.
I love Transformer movies.
And this movie is like, if you could imagine the quintessential 1998, like late 90s, early 2000 film directed by Michael Bay, it would be this movie.
This film.
Take that however you want.
Everything.
Good or bad, that's what this movie is.
This movie screams 1998.
Explosions, quick cuts, flashing lights, more explosions.
It's Michael Bay.
Explosions within explosions.
So
Two shuttles taking off literally side by side next to each other, which NASA would never do, by the way. I'm just going to say.
They're NASA. Yeah. They double up on everything.
They double up on it, but they don't double up right next to each other just in case they can't launch at the same time.
Yeah, that I'm like, okay, this got a lot of stupidity in it, but that one. Let's just real quick. I just want to talk about the movies that came out in 1998. All of which, most of which are super solid. Truman Show, Mask of Zorro, Lethal Weapon 4, Wedding Singer, Saving Private Ryan, Rush Hour, Good Will Hunting, The Parent Trap, Waterboy, Mulan.
Yeah, the cartoon's good. Yeah,
a lot of great movies. We got Godzilla with Matthew Broderick.
Deep Impact.
There's a reference
slightly
to that
lesser known
in this film, the Godzilla thing. Yeah.
But 1998 was a good year for movies.
It was a great year for movies, and this is one of the tops.
And most of those not existing IPs. Lethal Weapon, of course, was. But yeah, that's one thing I really appreciate about this movie, that it was a blockbuster, and it was, I mean, you can argue whether or not it's an original idea, because the rumors are that like they kind of stole the idea from Deep Impact and like fast tracked this thing so that it would come out at roughly the same time. But I like I said it at the top, I love this movie. It's completely over the top, but in my opinion, it knows that it is, and it's going for that. It's like, how ridiculous can we make this and still have it be entertaining? And I freaking love it for that.
So. No,
I love it so much.
I don't even think they were trying to be ridiculous. I think they were just Michael Bay.
Well, we'll get into that.
Just trying to make some good stuff, man. That's
I think
what
it's I think it's just Michael Bay being Michael Bay.
Well, he Michael Bayed so hard on this. He
did.
Here's what I love. Some dichotomies, because I'm going to throw that out because I'm an English major. Siskel and Ebert. It's on Roger Ebert's. It's on his most hated films list.
What?
And Siskel gave it a thumbs up. I love that. And I love the fact that it was nominated for 4 Oscars: Best Original Song, Best Sound Effects Editing, Best Visual Effects. Didn't win any of those, but was also nominated
Best Original Song.
Best Original Song that year. So it was nominated for I Don't Want to Miss a Thing, which was Everywhere, the Aerosmith song. And then it lost to When You Believe from the Prince of Egypt.
Wait, I Don't Want to Miss a Thing was for this movie? Like that was made for this movie?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yep. Yes. Famously not written by Aerosmith, written by Diane Warren, who's very famous for some of her movie soundtracks.
This whole movie is a music video.
Yeah.
I thought that song came out like way before this movie.
Nope. It was the music video with this has Steven Tyler singing in the monitors at the end instead of Bruce Willis's face and all that stuff. Oh yeah, it was everywhere.
Yeah, I just kind of thought he like remade the music video like for his daughter or something.
Nope.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
There's some synergy there for sure.
A little bit more respect.
So nominated for 4 Oscars, also nominated for 7 Golden Raspberries at the same time.
That makes sense.
But this I don't understand. Bruce Willis won for worst actor. He's phenomenal in this movie.
I think he was one of the only good actors in this movie.
He's so good in this.
There's a couple of them that are great in this.
Yeah, I think the cast is great, and we'll get there. But I just wanted to put that in. Yeah, it's definitely polarizing, which makes sense. I think it's around 42% Rotten Tomatoes or whatever. But
this is the only movie where Billy Bob Thornton's not cussing up a storm.
Yeah, he's great in this too. So let's go ahead and jump into some of the finer aspects of this film. Let's talk about the cinematography, which is Michael Bay. So it's some things where we're definitely used to seeing in Michael Bay films. But guys, just whoever, Corey, Justin, whoever wants to jump in, what did you notice? Composition, color, camera work.
I gotta go with the opening scene. I had this as my top right here. Is this opening scene on the drill with besides the Charlton Heston voice, that you get Charlton Heston to narrate anything. He's Morgan Freeman of the 90s. But like when you get to the oil thing and Harry's teeing up and hitting golf balls to the ZZ Top soundtrack, I love that. That whole song. Anytime I hear that song from ZZ Top, LaGrange, I automatically think of this movie and that scene. Dun, 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 dun. It's top. Like the moment I'm flashback to 1998 watching this scene in the theaters, and just the cinema, the color of the sun, everything going down out on the ocean. The way he sets it up, you think he's out on the golf course. He's on an oil rig hitting golf balls in the ocean. So I think that's a phenomenal scene. Absolutely love it. Great setup. Works with the music, but then also has the nice coloring in the camera and the panning back to set up where you think he is, to find out where he is, and then mix it all together.
Justin.
Okay. Do you remember when you were a kid and you'd play action figures, like your little X-Men action figures, and you make the noises? I felt like that was just all of this. Like there was just a sound effect guy in the back just going, but with the real explosions. Like, let's pay thousands of dollars to make these explosions, but also like let's make the sound of these explosions rather terrible. But if we're gonna talk about positive things,
visuals, positive visual things,
positive visuals. No, I was working there. I was spinning to the visuals. For the time, I felt like anytime there was any sort of like destruction scene, like the meteor hitting Paris and New York at one time, I thought that went pretty well for the most part. It was there was a lot of like shaky cam in this film visually. Like in just about every single action scene, I felt like you could cut that in any way you wanted and the action scene would have played the same. Like you could never quite tell what was going on. Like it's like you could just drop the film on the floor and pick it up in any order and put it back together and it would have been just fine. It was chaotic. It almost looked like a trailer. I think Siskel and Ebert said that in one of their reviews. They said something like this movie was cut like it was a trailer for the movie itself, like it was so quick and snappy. Yep. Which I feel like if you do well, it works. But there were just so many angles, cameras everywhere, and then like a Dutch angle, and then you're spinning, and then you're now on the other side of the action. It was just so hard to tell what was going on all the time in any action sequence. Just me? Am I getting old?
I mean, I'm watching this with nostalgia glasses too. I mean, like when I saw this in '98 in the theater, it worked for me. And I was kind of hit or miss on some of the Michael Bay movies and Jerry Bruckheimer movies around that same time. Like The Rock, I thought was just okay. Face Off, I told you I didn't like that one. That's John Woo, but right around the same kind of movie. This one, I was like, yep, I'm 100% in. And I think a lot of that has to do with Bruce Willis, but yeah, there's a ton of quick edits, and Michael Bay kind of came up as like one of the many things he did before he was a film director was he was a music video director, and music videos are very quick, edited, lots of different parts, and so it does feel in a lot of ways like a music video. Yeah, lots of Dutch angles through the destruction, the shaky cam, bird's eye view with it.
Dutch angles.
The 45
if someone
degrees.
In our listening group did not know what that was, Craig, what would you tell them?
Yeah, the camera's tilted at a 45-degree angle, so things are kind of jarring and it's off balance.
Just go watch Thor.
I knew that.
And
I knew what it was. I just wanted to clarify
66.
for the viewers.
Yep. I mean, there's even that though when AJ's running from Harry after Harry finds Grace
That's a great scene
in his apartment. They're on the rig. One thing that I loved visualize at the beginning, and it's so 90s, it's so Michael Bay, is you have that fiery opening title reveal. It's definitely cheesy. It's definitely over the top. And not only does it like peel across the screen on fire, it then explodes. And I just love it. It's like, that is what you're about to watch. No shame. Here we go. This is what we're doing.
But that was the 90s, man.
Yeah. No, I know.
That's the way the world was. That's what top cinema movies were then. It was.
Yeah. Right after, like you said, Charlton Heston's thing, it will happen again. It's just a matter of when. Like, oh, this is serious.
I have an issue with like late 90s, early 2000s movies. Like I have a really hard time watching them because it's like when CGI first started happening and they're like, let's just do it all the time. Everything. I don't care if it looks like crap. Do it anyway. And it just has not aged well in a lot of instances.
I feel like the shuttle launch aged really well.
The shuttle launch looked pretty good.
I thought it was good, man. Yeah. I thought it was aged well. I got to point out this scene that I thought was good, and this is a good take on it. When Bruce Willis and Chick are on the asteroid and the comet, or the parts of it are breaking up and chunks flying everywhere, and we get the view of him and Chick on the ground, and the piece of it spinning and just flies right over them and doesn't touch them. And he leans over and says, "Can you believe that just happened?" I love that scene because you're under the rock with him as it's going by. And I like that camera angle, like it switched, and so you're taking this moment, and instead of standing back and watching it spin, you're in the moment with them. And for me, that's always a standout moment. I think that separates this. That is kind of a cool scene just for how fun it would be So I like that Michael Bay did that. And then, just the explosions, everything he does with that. I think his top view of the shuttles as they're launching and coming up to you, the two shuttles. I think that's a great scene. I feel like now you're getting some of those views like Elon Musk. I did notice this couple weeks ago. He launched the SpaceX Heavy rocket. And when he did, they had a drone up in the air. And it was like that scene where you saw it coming up above through the clouds. And I thought, as I'm watching this on Twitter, on that school day, I was thinking, oh my gosh, this is like Armageddon watching these rockets take off. So I thought it was a cool view. Michael Bay may have been ahead of his time in 1998, Justin.
I would not be
CGI
surprised if Elon Musk watched Armageddon. He's like, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
I think he did. He called Michael Bay. How can I make this scene so much cooler?
Michael Bay direct my launch.
And then Elon Musk, and then Michael Bay said, blow it up at the end because why not?
Yeah, I can see that. Okay. I did kind of point this out a little bit, but I want to come back. A couple of things that I really like. First off, though, I do mention, because it is Michael Bay, there's lots of pans around. That's just the thing he does, low angle all the time. It's in all of his movies. And I love it. It's kind of a signature thing. And lots of zooming in a lot. Cameras moving almost continually. But a couple things that I did really appreciate color-wise is when you have that first asteroid attack, I guess, in New York. It's golden hour before. It's kind of like the sun's almost going down, which is really jarring because you usually see golden hour. It's like, oh, it's kind of peaceful. It kind of lulls you into the sense of security, and then all hell breaks loose. So I like that. And then I also really liked what I thought was interesting, but I think there's actually a purpose for it, that most of the lighting in the White House and in NASA is really dark. And
all Michael Bay movies are.
Like they're in the dark. They don't quite know what to do, especially the White House.
Lots of blue as well.
Really, lots
everything
of blue.
in NASA was just bathed in blue.
Very heavy, very sad. Kind of is my takeaway from that.
There's
blue
a comet about to kill everybody. You'd be sad and turn the lights off.
Yeah, so it's very, it's very emotional in that way. It's kind of impressionistic, I guess, is kind of what I'm going for with that. So I think there's a lot of good stuff.
You think we're reading into that? There. Or do you think that that's an intentional thing? Like, because I'm thinking of it specifically, the scene where he's talking to Harry and Billy Bob Thornton, Bruce Willis, Billy Bob Thornton, talking about, I'd be up there with you if I could. It was a very dark room. Harry's in the corner, kind of looking like he's sulking. Well, it's very dark. It's very kind of depressing.
Yeah, no, this is the thing. I think we're always looking for meaning in these things, and there's always choices being made. Do we need the lights on or turn them off? Like those. So John Schwartzman, who did the cinematography of this, he's Oscar nominated for Seabiscuit. He's done a couple things I really liked. Like he did Jurassic World, which I think is a beautiful movie where you can talk about whether or not the story is any good. The Amazing Spider-Man, I also think is really visually interesting. And of course, he also did for Michael Bay. He did The Rock and he did Pearl Harbor, which again, very much in the same vein. So I think it's really interesting. I think if you like Michael Bay movies or those other movies I just mentioned, then you're right there. And I think it absolutely works for what it did. It worked for me anyway. So let's go ahead and anything else on cinematography, or should we move down to sound?
I feel like with the blue. Sorry, I'm going to go back to the blue thing.
Yeah, no, do it.
So when did The Matrix come out? Out of curiosity.
So next year, 99.
99. Okay, because The Matrix uses the color green for most. Like when you're in the Matrix, there's like that green filter. Mm-hmm. A lot of the technology has like green displays, and green is almost like a stand-in for, hey, we're not going to explain this. This is technology. And I feel like this movie did that with the blue. Anytime there was any NASA equipment that they don't really want to like fully explain, like the computer monitors, the drills, there's just blue lights everywhere, all over the asteroid. Blue lights, just like, don't worry about it. This is technology. This isn't the main purpose of the movie. But yeah, every single time there was blue, it kind of almost felt like this is beyond your comprehension aura. Don't worry about it. Move on. It, like I said, in the very same way that Matrix uses the green, which I thought was kind of interesting. But this one is so much more heavy-handed. Like if I have to see Billy Bob Thornton's face like bathed in blue one more time, I might vomit.
Your boyfriend's back.
Oh my gosh, this movie is definitely heavy-handed in places, but I love it. Basically, it's the size of Texas. It's the size of Texas. Yeah, just cut right to the chase, dude. sound, I liked the loud explosions in space, which of course are fake. That doesn't bug me. But I really like the growl of the asteroid. I think that's great. I remember hearing about that. They gave it a personality.
Yeah.
Which I thought was kind of cool.
Which they only really mentioned once, like right at the end there, they said like this thing is trying to kill us. And I'm like, oh, that's like they personified the asteroid, but I don't feel like they really did at any other point other than when they named it Dottie at the beginning.
What's up, gosh?
Oh, goodness.
Oh, Dottie. She's a life sucking. Yeah. That's a great. I tell you, they do personify it well there. But they do. The groan is a very noticeable as it's approaching.
Yeah.
I just want to point out that both Corey and I said the word personified, and we are not English majors. So
we did.
Take that, Craig.
What does personification mean, Justin, for those of us?
Personification is giving human characteristics to non-human entities.
Well, and also on the asteroid, they do it as well when they say she knows we're here to kill it.
Yep.
And, you can complain all you want. Anyway. But there's a lot of personification, like it's us versus you.
Yeah,
I just want to point out that I just Googled the definition of personification, and I didn't Google it when I said it, and I am freaking close. Almost.
I was just going to say, I was looking at you, and I wanted to state for the record that you did not quote that as you were saying it the first time. So
I didn't look over.
Justin.
That was
he knows. Nice.
I taught English for a year.
Very nice. I want to talk about the score a little bit. Trevor Rabin, who was originally before he scored films, the guitarist from the rock band Yes scored this film. He also did Con Air, did Enemy of the State, like both of those scores quite a bit. Gone in 60 Seconds, Remember the Titans, and really, what I really like his work in is National Treasure 1 and 2. I think the score for those movies is fantastic, and I really like it here. There is a leitmotif. There's a main title that we get at the very beginning. It's got kind of woodwinds and it's orchestral, and it's kind of an all strings version. It's played several times throughout the film. You hear it as Harry says goodbye to his daughter. There's the walk to the shuttle, which is like an hour into the film by the time they finally get into space.
I was actually surprised by that. The pacing was, I don't know if it's bad, but it was weird. It took him a long time.
It's a long movie. It's like 2.5 hours long. And played a few more times. So I really think the score is underrated from that. I think it is. It's a good kind of patriotic, rousing, epic score. At least that main title. There's of course, there's often, Corey already mentioned the Lagrange by ZZ Top. There's a lot of pop music in this one as well.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna go Lagrange, Sweet Emotion, Come Together. Those are 3 huge hits. And then the only reason I know Leaving on a Jet Plane is because they sing it. That right there, that John Denver. But it was funny because it wasn't really sang. It was just them singing it. It was, But anyway, I can sing that song and I love that song.
It's diegetic music right there. Love it. You also, of course, get I Don't Want to Miss a Thing. We mentioned that before.
Oh, yeah.
Multiple times. Over the animal crackers. That's kind of a cringe scene.
It's a weird scene.
Always been weird.
Especially because like Ben Affleck is trying to like what's the word the kids use? Ben Affleck is trying to Riz Liv Tyler. And like in that moment,
Sigma.
Her father is singing a song over that moment. Like that's weird.
There was a music video prior to this too. I'm trying to remember which one it was, and I'm gonna have to Google it. With her and Alicia Silverstone, where they're both very sexy, and it's like your dad's singing the song, and
well,
it's a little weird.
Strange.
And that whole scene is weird. Like she's just sitting there with her shirt open, like as we all do at some time, when we're on a picnic. Before a life ending.
Did that earlier today.
Asteroid reaches the Earth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
it might be crazy. I can't remember which one. I think it is, but.
Signature Michael Bay, because we also get that with Megan Fox in Transformers. That's just what he does. He always has these scenes that are a little bit like, okay, well, this is kind of a oddly paced, but we got to put that out there.
Yeah, it's not the first time you have the Steven Tyler and Liv Tyler weirdness there. I do want to say, too, that in my research for this, I was surprised to find that the song that happens in the New York establishing shot right before the asteroids come down, Mr. Big Time is the name of the song, and it's John Bon Jovi. It's not Bon Jovi, it's just John Bon Jovi. It's a solo track. But I didn't realize that was John Bon Jovi singing,
Oh,
even though I've seen this movie 100 times.
There was a couple moments in there. One specifically that comes to mind is when they're slingshotting around the moon. The music started to sound a little Pirates of the Caribbean-ish. Did anyone pick up on that? I know that's a fairly like famous, I guess, couple of notes. I don't know what to call that, but like we get that in Gladiator and Pirates of the Caribbean. It's almost the exact same soundtrack. And then this one kind of started to hint towards that as well. I'm like, whoa, what is going on here?
Yeah.
But it was way more subtle than what you get in Pirates of the Caribbean. I also felt like if any of you have seen like Pearl Harbor recently, there were a few moments in here, like with the epic choral music, like when they're walking towards the shuttles, the space shuttles. Mm-hmm. It started to sound a little bit like Pearl Harbor, almost like Pearl Harbor is like a pretty emotional film for me, but I watch it with nostalgia glasses. But it seemed like they were trying to force like some sort of emotional connection where, yeah, these guys are funny and they have like camaraderie, but I didn't feel like particularly emotionally connected to any of them. Like, I don't think any of their deaths are particularly sad. But in that moment, as they're walking towards the shuttle, I'm just like, you're not going to trick me, music. You can't make me feel things that aren't there. You didn't earn this. I didn't like it.
Yeah, well, maybe Trevor Rabin's cribbing from himself there a little bit when he does Pearl Harbor. He did both scores. I can see that. I mean, that does happen from time to time.
Yeah, is it plagiarism if you take from yourself? How does that work?
I mean, John Williams has done it, and Hans Zimmer has done it, so
yeah.
Who am I to say? I love, Corey, that you mentioned the opening narration by Charlton Heston. That's just so freaking cool. And it's just out of nowhere.
Charlton Chuck Heston. I mean,
why
this legend.
Why do you think they got him? Just
because in 1998 he
voice?
Was. I mean,
he's the man.
Charlton Heston for the 60s, 70s, and 80s is the man. I mean,
he's still cool. I mean,
he was.
Yeah.
Up until
True Lies was only a couple years before.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that. Yes.
Yeah, with the eye patch, we're gonna do that movie at some point. We gotta hit the James Cameron.
Oh, True Lies. There's another movie with scientific inaccuracies that I love.
No, that one's solid. There's nothing wrong in there.
You can absolutely shoot a guy hanging from a missile through a building into another.
Why not? They should have tried
helicopter, rather. Yeah, that can happen. Let's see. Lots of exposition on the TVs. I got that one, and then one thing I did like. One last thing, Corey, is just kind of Truman talking about Stamper's reputation right before they come to collect him. There's this kind of like montage of the helicopter coming down, and he's just talking all about his rep. There's one, we talk to everybody, and he's the one guy we have to go get.
Yeah. This whole soundtrack is good though. See, here's the thing. Like you look at this is some. You watch a soundtrack, and sometimes you'll get. It's like buying a record in the 90s and the 80s, where you'd buy a record, 15 songs, and 3 of them were good. You know, I feel like soundtracks are always that way for me. I'll look at a soundtrack and there's 2 or 3 good. But you look at this Armageddon album listing, and I mean, it's got 7, 8 songs on here that are legend songs, great songs.
Are all the Aerosmith songs in the film on the soundtrack?
Yeah, Aerosmith's on here 1, 2,
like 3 of them, right?
4. Aerosmith's on here 4 times. Steven Tyler's on here an extra time. ZZ Top, Journey. I mean,
Journey's got a song on there.
Bob Seger, Sean Colvin, Bon Jovi. I mean, there's some incredible songs, and I got to tell you that "Come Together" song is the Beatles song. And for some reason in my head, I mixed it up thinking that this was the Michael Jackson, because Michael Jackson does a cover of this too.
Another good version.
And I can't decide which version's better between them, Aerosmith or Michael Jackson. But I just remember after this movie, I loved that song. I was like, I had that downloaded. Well, not downloaded. I had it on tape, but.
Dave, what's that, Corey? Yeah.
But I have it downloaded now. I've got both versions downloaded.
Yeah, it might be sacrilege to say, but I like that better than the Beatles version too.
Oh yeah.
It's a good song either way, but yeah.
Okay, grandpas, let's
all right,
move it along.
Get off my yard.
Let's talk about performances. Is it melodramatic in many, many places? I don't freaking care, because it absolutely is. It fits.
You know what was so weird is I just got out of a binge of the extended edition Lord of the Ring movies. Like 3 days, 3 right in a row. I watched all 3 in theaters, and watching Liv Tyler from that movie to this movie is quite jarring.
Sure.
because she is like this calm, subdued, like wisdomful elf.
Yep.
To go to this, it's just very strange.
Yeah,
but she did good.
Yeah.
No issues.
I'm gonna tell you, I think this is so fantastic because Bruce Willis in this movie is so brooding. John McClane, John Wayne, like that's just who like he is. I don't even think he was reaching here. I think he was just playing John McClane, who lost his job as a cop and became an oil rigger. I mean, that's what he kind of basically became. It's the same character. He's no stretch here as far as melodramatic acting. Like it's just, and at the end, he's got to be the hero. He's got to be the, chick's like, I'm not going to draw against you. Well, I'm going to draw against you,
Yeah.
And then make sure Truman gets this. I mean, everything Bruce Willis. This is just a Bruce Willis movie.
Yeah. I like to do that too, Corey. I like to try and put movies, like pretend that some movies are sequels or prequels to other movies.
Yeah.
And I did the same thing with this one. I'm like, this is a in some universe, a sequel to Die Hard. And this is just John McClane.
Yeah.
Justin, I got to ask you a question. So you mentioned earlier that with most of the character deaths, you're just like, I don't really care because there's a huge cast, but the end when Bruce Willis gives himself up.
No, that one.
Okay. That got you, right? Because
that got me.
There's a handful of moments in this movie, that one in particular, that every time, like, I mean, if you don't tear up or something, just, feel your heart in your throat.
No,
you're
the
dead
Bruce Willis one got me. But the rest of them, I feel like they kind of just like, oh, that guy's dead. Okay, move on.
I know.
Which
like,
I understand. It was
died.
like, it was kind of like the nature of the job. I think they were all kind of like already accepting of that. And I'm glad that they didn't spend, because there's a lot of characters in this movie. There's a lot of time spent trying to develop each of these characters. Probably too many characters, or maybe too much time, or maybe too little. I can't decide. But it's like a weird in between.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that they didn't like spend a lot of time lamenting the deaths, I was like, okay, I kind of appreciate that. Especially when the one guy in the drill itself, the kind of like the larger guy, I forget
Max.
his name. Yeah, it gets like sucked up and flies away. Yeah, there's like, bye Max. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I'm going to say this. So we'll talk about characters a little bit later on too, but Freddie Noonan is the guy. He dies fairly early. He's the one that wants his lady friends made citizens or whatever. That's in the demand scene. I did not. I've seen this movie like 100 times. This is how you don't know the characterization on some of these guys is pretty weak. There's a line earlier in the film where Liv Tyler's character Grace says, "I learned about the birds and the bees from Freddie Noonan's tattoos." And that always felt like a throwaway line, and I didn't recognize that Freddie Noonan was actually a character who's currently in this film.
Oh, really?
Until this time, going through and looking at the character list and going, "Oh, that Freddie Noonan. Oh, okay.
He's the guy that dies, right?"
Well, he's one of the many. Yeah, he's like might be the first.
Yeah, I stopped trying to like keep track of people's names about 20 minutes into this movie. There's just too many.
Max, you need Bear, and you need Harry and.
But I liked Owen Wilson in this movie.
Oh, he's
I thought
freaking great. Yes.
Does anyone else think that Owen? I don't remember if this is when I first met Owen Wilson. Like
for me, I think it is. Yep.
I think it is because after this, and my wife loves Owen Wilson. Like she thinks he's just the best thing. And that line that he says. Anyway, we'll get to that when we get to quotes.
Yes.
But
he is
hilarious. Well, his line about. I got it right here. The one he's got two great ones. The one where he goes, "We're still in inner space. We haven't even got to outer space yet." like
he knows what he's talking about.
Because whenever we are driving somewhere or traveling somewhere, that's what I say is like we're still in inner space. We haven't even got to outer space yet. Like that's just a line I throw out to say we're there, but we're not there. And anyway, his whole character is fantastic. I love him in the movie. Anyway, he's great. All right, we got to do quotes now. Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, we're doing quotes.
Okay, because go ahead.
Justin, do you have some keyed up?
I do. This kind of rolls itself into performances as well, or I guess just characters in general. I feel like the character arc of Harry Stamper, Bruce Willis, was kind of strange because at the beginning they spend quite a bit of time like building up how immature he is. And there's even a line that his daughter says, and I love this line, "I understand that you were handicapped by a natural immaturity, and I forgive you."
Yeah.
But then after he goes and tries to shoot Ben Affleck, he like isn't immature anymore. Like, he's the one that holds everyone together. He's the one that's doing like the rousing speeches to get people going. We don't see that immaturity ever again. And I'm like, what? You switched characters on me with no reason. Like, maybe you can say, oh, it demanded it because of the stakes or something.
Time
But
to go
they
to
didn't.
work.
But they didn't show us that. I guess. Like, why build up this immature guy and then just let him loose?
You don't see that anywhere else.
I thought that was really strange, but I love the line. Handicapped by natural immaturity. Whew.
Corey,
This whole movie's got quotes. Let's go. Let's go.
I know, it's got some
round and
so
round.
many.
Did you want to do the line the Oscar says? Because I have that queued up too. I have all of them, like pretty much. I swear.
The Oscar. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Now this is the other one that my wife and I say all the time.
Yeah, me too.
And this is great. I got that excited, scared feeling. Like 98% excited, 2% scared. Or maybe it's more, it could be 2% and 98% scared. But that's what makes it so intense. It's so confused. I can't figure it out. We throw that out to each other all the time. Whenever we're doing something, I'm like 98% excited, 2% scared.
See, that's a great one too. There's so many. That's not the one that I had. I have, okay, Mr. Truman, let's say we actually do land on this. What's it going to be like up there?
Oh,
Truman says 200 degrees in the sunlight, minus 200 in the shade, canyons of razor-sharp rock, unpredictable gravitational conditions, unexpected eruptions, things like that. Oh, and Oscar says, okay, so scariest environment imaginable. Thanks. That's all you got to say. Scariest environment imaginable.
See, Owen Wilson,
Straight-faced.
and he gets killed off way too soon in this movie, and I was crushed when he died because he had you look at all the great quotes he has in this movie, and they kill him off early. That's like taking out a main character.
He's not a big star, though.
Oh, but
at
he was
this
so
point.
good. He was so good. He deserved to
Meet the
live.
Parents is a couple years out. And all
Is
those
this his
early
first
comedies.
big film?
I think it was.
This has to be. I'm looking.
He might have been
now.
in a handful of things, but he was not a big name because I mean, again, the cast is huge, and he's not in it that much, but he's great when he's in it.
All right, here we go. Another one with him is him and AJ are sitting there working on something, and I don't even know what they're doing. They're just touching little sensors onto other pieces of metal for the scene, and they're talking about if anybody's anybody, I'm Han, and you're Chewbacca. And he goes, Chewie, have you even seen Star Wars? like it's just fantastic. They're debating how these movies they've seen are therefore part of the characters. So I thought it was
Because clearly, if he'd seen Star Wars, he would have been Evel Knievel.
That's right. I've never
Justin,
watched
do you have
Star
another
Wars.
one before I go again? Because I have like 9 quotes.
I really liked the character Lev, the Russian cosmonaut.
Oh, great.
I think he's hilarious. And I love that actor and just about everything he's in. But the line where he goes, American components, Russian components, all made in Taiwan. That's great.
Yeah. The one I say the most from this movie is, I don't mean to be the materialistic weasel of the group, but you think we'll get hazard pay out of this?
I love that one.
Rockhound, yeah. Pretty much everything Rockhound says is amazing.
Rockhound, this is a great one with him. And he is such a creepy character sometimes, but in this movie, and I hate him in the end of this movie. I hate him because Harry dies for it.
He's not a character that would get made today.
Space dementia. Yeah.
Why do you say that, Justin? I'm curious why.
He makes a couple references to like underage girls, and I just feel like that wouldn't fly in today, even humorously.
He also says, we were sitting on 4 million pounds of fuel, 1 nuclear weapon, a thing that has 270,000 moving parts, built by the lowest bidder. Makes you feel good, doesn't it?
Yeah. Another great line by the legend Michael Duncan, who, I mean, it was sad to see him go, but I love it when he says, when they meet up at NASA, and he goes, "What's up, Harry? Did NASA find oil on Uranus, man?" Like, it's such a great line. It just sets the tone that this group is all about the jokes. I mean, all about the riffing. So it's just great.
They do have like a fairly natural like camaraderie. Like I could see these guys working together. I think if we cranked this rating up to rated R, it probably would have been what actual oil drillers acted like. But yeah, it felt natural. They did a good job.
What is this rate? I thought this was rated R.
I think it's 13.
PG-13.
Is it?
Yeah, PG-13. I'm looking at it.
Okay.
I think we only had one F word in there. So
another one. Oh, chick, I ain't going to kill him. I'm going to take a foot off. A man can work with 1 foot. Remember old Frank Marshall? Worked with one hand all the years. And the chick goes, yeah, but he wasn't very good. Like it's just, It's just great. Oh,
I like, come on, God, just a little help. It's all I'm asking. And Max says, I think we're close enough. You might have heard you.
that's a great
Just
line.
so over the top all the time.
All right, now another line for Max, because I thought Max was a great character, and I felt like he kind of got shafted and thrown away. I don't understand why he was cooking alive up there. I feel like it was kind of a write-off for getting rid of him, for why his armadillo blows up. But Ken Hudson Campbell is his name. He's a great guy. Anyway, his line was, "What's that for, Mr. Ed? You stick that thing in me, I'm going to stab you in the heart with it. You ever see Pulp Fiction?" I never paid attention to this until this last watch here. Pulp Fiction, Bruce Willis was in Pulp Fiction. And wasn't Billy Bob Thornton in Pulp Fiction? Didn't he have no, it's just Bruce Willis? Yeah. But Bruce Willis is in Pulp Fiction. So I thought it's kind of a nice Easter egg type thing that they do. It's kind of like how Michael Bay had a little cameo in the beginning of the movie as a scientist. He did have how they had that, like you already talked about, that Godzilla going across the street on the little toy. Mm-hmm. And which is kind of at the same time that Godzilla came out with this movie. So it was kind of a little dig on him. So anyway, I like that. I just like when they reference some movie that the character's already in.
I thought, sorry for going back to characters and actors. Jason Isaacs was in this as the really intelligent guy.
Briefly, but great.
Yeah, he was very brief, and probably my least favorite role of his. Like, he did fine, but every other role he's in, he absolutely kills it. And it's almost like they didn't know what to do with him in this movie.
Yeah.
Now, hold on. I like wisdom in movies, Craig. You know I do. And I'm going to bring up my quote here with him because I think he gives one of the most powerful lines that is applicable to today. When they said, they were talking about the president's advisors think we should just launch some nukes at it and blow it up, right? Mm-hmm. And he says, I know the president's chief scientific advisors. We were at MIT together. And in this situation like this, you really don't want to take the advice from a man who got a C- in astrophysics. The president's advisors are wrong. I'm right. And that line by Isaacs, I think, is a powerful line because I think it kind of shows sometimes we always have these people who are in positions who people look to, but really in the end, they're just average. They're not really, they're not someone that's an expert or knows. This guy is the smartest man on the planet. Harry is the smartest driller, the best driller on the planet. These people are the qualified ones, not this scientific advisor who's on TV. And I think in our world today, you often see people who get promoted or hired on, like I've seen in education sometimes where you've seen people who are in administration that shouldn't be in administration, or, you know what I mean? You just see where sometimes we don't put the person that's the best person because, they must be an advisor. They must be so smart. Well, yeah, they also got a C- in astrophysics. So
somebody had to. Somebody's bottom of those classes, right?
Somebody. I think that's a big chunk of life too. Is just the older you get, the more you realize that everyone kind of puts on a show. Like nobody knows as much as you think they know, and everyone's kind of faking it a little bit. Yeah. Unfortunately, which is kind of scary if you think about going to the doctor or surgery, whatever.
Yeah. Do you want that C- doctor working on your pancreas or whatever you got to fix out there? I mean, taking out your appendix?
That could be the moral of this whole film. I mean, they send up a bunch of oil drillers to save the world, and these guys are all crazy underqualified for most of what they're doing.
I mean, when you go in the doctor's office and see a diploma there, but I don't see a report card, doctor. I'm just saying. That's a diploma. They give those away. You can print it off the internet. I got one at home, but I'm just saying.
I have 2 more quotes.
Anyway, so there you go. Wisdom from Michael Bay.
Yeah, I got 2 more quotes. You just reminded me of it, so now I have to bust them in. Speaking of those drillers, Truman says to General Kimsey, played by the great Keith David, look, they're the best at what they do. And he says, so am I, and I'm not so optimistic. We spend $250 billion a year on defense, and here we are. The fate of the planet is in the hands of a bunch of retards I wouldn't trust with a potato gun.
Right there. That's 1998.
Another one about them.
Again, would not get out today.
So funny, though. Goodness sakes. Lighten up, people. Dr. Banks says, it would normally take 18 months to psychologically prepare pre-screened viable subjects for space travel. We've seen evidence of a wide variety of territorial aggression. And then Truman says, can they physically survive the trip? That's all I need to know here, okay? And Dr. Banks says, personally, I don't know how they survived the tests. Which I love that so much because this is why I love this movie. Because with those two quotes, the movie understands what it is. It's ridiculous that they're asking you to go, we're going to take these drillers, we're going to take 2 weeks, and we're going to shoot them into outer space. That's a ridiculous concept.
Yeah.
No one would ever do that. Enjoy.
There's gravity on this thing.
Don't think about it.
These guys are great astronauts. I'm sure they're great at what astronaut stuff, but they don't know jack about drilling.
They had qualified astronauts up there with them.
Why is this so hard for people to accept?
They weren't flying the shuttle. They had the astronauts flying the
All
shuttle.
they got to do is drill.
I'm sure they're great pilots, whatever, but doing astronaut stuff. This is drilling.
This is the best.
Drilling's an art form. It's an art form, Craig.
I
think it's funny that the movie, what's the one with Sandra Bullock and George Clooney? Gravity?
Yeah.
That movie gets so much crap for how inaccurate it is in certain parts with the gravity. And this thing, you got like space shuttles, like dodging asteroids and flying.
I mean, like jet fighters.
This gets a lot of crap though. Like this
okay.
is like notorious. Like at NASA, they're like point out all of the flaws. Like this is
No, that's on IMDb. There's a trivia. It says NASA shows this film during their management training program. New managers are given the task of trying to spot as many errors as possible. Yeah. At least 168 have been found. 168? That's it?
That'd be the first 10 minutes.
Listen, I don't care. It's
the
so
heat shield,
fun.
everything. There's no way. Knowing everything that's happened, like even right after that with the Columbia disaster and stuff. I would never ever trust any shuttle reentry. Like with a heat shield, like if it's been on an asteroid or something like that, just from like, there's just no way. So the scientific inaccuracies in this movie are phenomenal, but
I love it.
Now here's my last quote. And I love this. I mean, there's some chicks great, man. What are you doing with a gun in space? That's a great one. But here we go. This is the best one is, oh my gosh, I just blanked on his name. The general, the colonel up there who was going to
Colonel Willie Sharp.
Yep. When they're doing the slow-mo walk and it's a reveal of the astronauts walking up and he says, talk about the wrong stuff. Like now people don't get that because I think it's like a throwback to the astronaut movie, The Right Stuff, which was made about the astronauts going to the moon. And so he just throws this comment, the wrong stuff. Talk about the wrong stuff. I love it. But it also is the hero slow-mo walk.
Yep.
Anytime they did it in Monsters, Inc., and it was exactly the same thing. It was Michael Bay doing this hero slow-mo walk entrance from the 90s till today. Anytime you have a slow-mo, I think you attribute it back to Michael Bay for this movie.
I want to know, I'm going to Google this right now. Which movie did the hero slow-mo walk first?
It's got to be Michael Bay. I don't remember in anything like this before.
See, I thought you were going to go with Get Off the Nuclear Warhead.
That's a great line.
That's a line in this movie.
No nukes. This movie.
Duh. Yeah, I love it.
Clockwork Orange.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry. Back
Was
to
that
that.
the first one?
That's credited as the first hero walk, 1971.
Yeah.
Okay.
Never saw it. Didn't care for it. It's okay. It's Kubrick, so it's weird. That's fine if you enjoy that movie. Body language. I'm going to just kind of fly through some of this stuff. A couple of my favorite things are, and I think the acting is actually decent when it's allowed to be. Like the stunned looks on Stamper's crew when they find out, and I love that we don't see them being told about the situation. We just see the aftermath, and I think that's actually some good acting in there. Just seeing their face, like I believe that they were just told, "Here's what's happening."
I feel like, so yeah, I agree. I think the acting is as good as the film allows it to be in its current condition, which is good. I think this might be Ben Affleck's best acting role. Not his best role, but he's not, in my opinion, not a great actor.
Him at the end,
he is Superman. He's fantastic. He's a good actor. I love him as Batman, and I like him. I like a lot of his movies, but
thank you.
He just doesn't have a whole lot of range. But I feel like this one, he's quite expressive.
I buy the end when he's in tears and just kind of, just distraught about the fact that he's going to lose Harry, and after Harry has that speech about, I always thought of you as a son, and I'm getting chills right now just thinking about that. Like I believe that he is that those emotions are real. Like I agree with Justin. Like,
he says, "I love you" in there.
Yeah,
Which and
Yeah.
this and if you take that comment, you take that in this type of life where these people are all sarcasm, all jokes, all hardness, the whole
It's
movie,
sincere there.
and he threw that out there, like
Mhm.
that is a powerful moment right there.
Yeah, for me,
Ben
that's
Affleck, thank you.
That's right up there with, and I think about it the same way as at the end of Top Gun Maverick, where the thank you for saving my life, and he said, Rooster says, that's what my dad would have done. Like, oh,
Well, and then
it's so good.
When Harry tells her, hey, he saved us, right? And they pan, you pan and see Ben Affleck's crying face, and he looks away all sad, like, no, I didn't. You know what I mean? Like that's, I want you to know AJ saved us. It's powerful. That's powerful.
Oh yeah,
then you see
away.
his face. So I think that just adds to that moment that Ben Affleck that right
but
there.
But he did because he got the armadillo over there. Come on, man.
He did. He saved everybody.
I still get like a bit choked up too, just about any film with Bruce Willis, but it's kind of this one especially, just knowing that now he has dementia.
Yeah.
And he was just such a phenomenal actor, and he's in so many good films. I know for a while there he did a lot of like kind of any film that would give him money he starred in, but I feel like he always acted his little heart out. He does a good job, and
I know,
I like
super charismatic, and this movie would not be. I mean, that's basically my argument for this versus Deep Impact. Like, this one has Bruce Willis.
Yeah,
like, sorry, Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis win right there.
The end. Locations. I'm just gonna move down to setting design. Not a lot of it's obviously filmed on a set in Culver City.
They didn't go to space?
No, they did not.
What?
I love how the asteroid is described as Dr. Seuss's worst nightmare. That's a good way to go. Jagged rocks.
Scariest environment imaginable.
Yeah. One thing I did really like, though, is the Apollo 1 monument. I'm assuming that's real.
I think
when
it
says
is.
goodbye to Grace, that's really cool structure.
I looked it up. It is.
That's fantastic.
It is because I think the three men that were on there, that's the Apollo 1. Those are the only three astronauts to die from the Apollo missions. It was Apollo 1.
Yeah. Get that lingering shot on the plaque, and it's like, the stakes are real. And I mean, Michael Bay is, say what you want about Michael Bay as a filmmaker. Like, he absolutely loves and respects
filmmaker.
The military and their accomplishments. So
he does that in Transformers too. He highlights military movies in and accomplishments and stuff in these movies that he does. Yeah,
13 hours, same kind of deal. Yeah,
exactly. Transformers with the car C-130 jet that turns fright and shoots the high heat rounds that they shoot.
Yeah,
that's real shot.
Yeah, gets all the access because he has such a great relationship with them.
Yes.
The one thing I did say, the one thing that's a little bit dated in this is all of the square monitors at NASA. Obviously, those would be, widescreen at this point. But it looks they have some
CRT TVs.
Yeah, they have really nice chairs and long oak tables there, though. Like although it's dark in there, like I kind of wanted to sit down and have a chat instead of those conference tables.
Yeah, and it is one thing that some of their monitors are very video game-ish, cheesy.
Yeah.
When it's got the beepers on them when they're up in the space station.
Yeah.
Their Mir space station, and you see them moving around, and it's very video game. It's like, okay, they don't have that kind of thing now. So, I mean, but the Mir
station also has like all the exposed like ductwork and pipes and levers to like really sell the fact that it's really old and falling apart, which I appreciate.
And after the nuke goes, and the two halves are going to miss us by 400 miles. Like, and then you see on the monitor the comet just splitting and showing. It's like a video game straight out of asteroids. So, yeah.
You know what? I'm looking at actors in this film and what they have said about it, and it is not well loved by the people that worked on it.
Which is sad.
What?
Even Michael Bay says Michael Bay thinks Armageddon is his worst film. I will apologize for Armageddon because we had to do the whole thing in 16 weeks. It was a massive undertaking. That was not fair to the movie. I would redo the entire third act if I could. See, I thought the third act was where it kind of excelled.
I saw that quote too. I think it was talking. I saw that, and later on he went back and kind of softened his stance on that a little bit. I forget exactly what it was, but yeah, I know there was some issues with that.
Was this his first big movie? Oh no, he did Bad Boys in '95.
Yeah, I think
up until then he was up until Bad Boys. You're right, Craig. It was just all music videos, And then Bad
Wait,
Boys.
say
He did
that
The
again,
Rock.
Corey?
The Rock. Oh my gosh, these are 3 huge movies. Bad
Corey,
Boys,
say
The
bad,
Rock,
say
and
Bad Boys again.
Bad Boys.
Bad boys.
Boys.
What you gonna do?
I don't know. The emphasis is weird. Bad Boys.
Bad boys.
What, you throwing peas at me, babe? What?
Yeah.
What are you? What am I saying it wrong? Bad Boys.
Bad Boys.
Bad boys. Hey.
Bad Boys.
Bad boys.
Hey, you got to
Bad
throw a
boys.
Brooklyn accent. Hey, boys.
Hey,
boys.
bad boys.
Bad boys.
All right. Okay. I think we talked about all the props we need to. The drill. What is this? A ice cream scoop?
Oh, wait.
What is
Hold
this,
on. Here's a
$400?
prop for you. The
Go for it.
merchandising on this movie was not as good as it should have been because that shuttle should have been a merchandise item.
Sure.
You can get a model kit of it, by the way, because I always wanted it
know
when I was in 1998.
Freedom and
I wanted,
Independence. You can.
yes,
Nice.
I wanted that model. It was a space shuttle model that was modified to have the rockets. And then I will say this. I still have the 1/64th scale Armageddon official. It's a little green Hot Wheel armadillo. And it used to come in a box.
Really?
I
It used to
didn't
come
know
in a
that was
little
a
white
thing.
box. Somewhere the kids lost the parts to the box, but I still have the armadillo upstairs. And the
Does
little,
it have
the
the
little
machine gun on
wheels?
the
The
front?
little wheels pop out, and it like gets all compact, fits in a box, and then comes out. Anyway,
Does it have a machine gun?
It does not. It does not have that, but
Should.
it should. Shouldn't it?
But
Yes.
why?
Yes.
Why did they put a machine? Like they even have the scene showing them taking things out to like make it more efficient
Yeah.
or whatever.
Thank goodness
Why
they
the
did
machine
though,
gun?
because they
Why?
needed to be able to shoot themselves out of the shuttle that had crashed.
Why? Why
That's
is that
why.
a contingency that they
So
planned
the movie
for?
can happen.
Oh my goodness! Why
Yeah. So
were they
characters-
expecting to possibly find aliens up there? What's going
Yeah,
on?
maybe.
I'm looking it up right now to see what that's actually worth. Here it is. $98.
Wow,
Oh wait,
that's
that's
the
like a
year-
full size. Never mind. Hold on.
Okay.
I was
Okay.
gonna say retire now, Corey. Retire now. You're good.
But
You're
yeah,
set.
see, so the merchandising, I've got $24, $7. Yeah, it kind of
Okay.
varies. But there you go. See, and I feel like this kind
Huh.
of movie now would have better merchandising.
Oh yeah,
But-
for sure.
Yeah.
Well, it wouldn't get made either though because it's not an existing IP. That's the thing I really appreciate about the late '90s though. They didn't care. Like it didn't
Yeah.
have to be a sequel. There was
Yeah.
tons of sequels, obviously, but lots of. And then Justin called out the films. Like other than Lethal Weapon 4, everything else was fairly new.
Yeah.
We talked about. I just want to pull out some of the actors that we haven't necessarily talked about, and we did talk about Bruce Willis and Billy Bob Thornton, of course. Ben Affleck, Liv Tyler. Will Patton plays Chick. I like him quite a bit in
He
this.
is fantastic.
He's good in a lot of stuff. Steve Buscemi as Rockhound. William Fichtner is a guy who we generally don't know the name, but we know the face. He's the guy that plays Colonel Willie Sharp.
Is anyone buying
Yes.
Steve Buscemi as like a ladies' man? I don't buy it.
No, that's why you had to have the money.
Ah.
William Fichtner, yeah, and then Keith David in here. He
Keith
does the
David's
general.
so good. Yeah,
Peter Stormare.
that's Lev. Peter Stormare. Yeah, there's a ton of actors in this film that work with a lot of the actors in this film and other films, like him and Buscemi and Fargo, and obviously Michael Clark Duncan and Bruce Willis are in
Whole 9 yards.
Whole 9 yards.
Oh
yeah.
yes,
Yeah, and then of course
Oh, I
he and
love
Ben
that
Affleck
movie.
are in Daredevil together. Ben Affleck and Liv Tyler and
oh my gosh, I
Jersey
forgot.
Girl together.
I forgot.
Yeah.
Michael Duncan is in that movie. Yes,
Yeah, he plays Kingpin. He's fantastic
oh
in
my
that.
gosh, he's fantastic. And he's fantastic in Whole 9 Yards with Bruce Willis too.
We need to do just like the superhero streak, but pre-MCU superhero streak.
Oh, we were going to get there. Yeah, that's
Okay.
that's on the list.
Because
Yeah,
I would love to talk about Daredevil.
the pre-MCU. Me too. Love that film. Let's see. Anything else with that? Let's see. Lots of just actors that you recognize in this film in
Yeah.
small roles.
Yeah, the
bunch
guy
bunch
who
of
says your
B-listers.
boyfriend's back. Yeah, he's in a couple movies too. He's
yeah, just watch
What's
The Dark
his
Knight
name?
Rises, and he's in that too.
yeah.
I don't know off the top. There's so many.
Chris
Hero's
Ellis.
Journey. Yeah, Chris Ellis. Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Good. Just Chris Ellis. Hero's Journey. Nope. It's not that. It's not that kind of movie.
No.
World building, I'd said it's basically our world, very, very pro-American, which is not surprising considering it's Michael Bay. Lots of
Yeah.
great shots of American flags, and again, it's the U.S. that figures out how to save the world, but much like Independence Day, which had happened like the year before.
I like how they
years
act
before.
like, for the most part, the other countries just straight up don't exist. Like the only reference to the other countries is when they make the announcement that they're going to save everybody, and like, oh, in coordination with these other countries. And then we see the Russian space station, which is in total disrepair with the crazy Russian on there. Just like, oh man, we get like zero representation outside of America here, which is, that's fine. It's an American movie. I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. I think that's about it. Let's go ahead and wrap with our final thoughts. Justin, why don't you go ahead and go first?
The movie was pretty good. I understand why someone with nostalgia glasses would love this movie, and it seemed very much. I mean, we kind of said it at the start of the episode, or at least Corey did. If 1998 and Michael Bay had a baby, it would be this movie. And if you like Michael Bay and you like the 90s movies, late 90s, then you're sitting pretty. It's good though. I can definitely see why people would like it. I feel like our podcast is about finding the deeper meaning. Mm-hmm. I don't know. This movie has a lot of deeper meaning. It just kind of is what it is. But it's fun.
Nice. Justin, I'm going to change your name to Dottie.
Oh.
I'm so sorry. I'm just kidding. For those of you who watched this movie, they'll get that. It was a nice little dig, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm sorry. Listen, okay, I'm going to give my final thoughts here. I think this movie is great. I love it. This for me is your perfect example of nostalgia over science over story. If you grew up in the 90s like we did, Craig, and you were, this was just out of high school when I watched this movie, and I remember being in the theater watching it. I remember watching it when it came out on VHS and renting it from Blockbuster Video. I mean, there's just a lot of great nostalgia to it. And so I think when you do that, you're very forgiving over the story. You're very forgiving over the realism of the science, the moments. I'm settling for moments over realism. And I think, and if you like certain directors, you're going to like this. I like that Michael Bay does this. He always is very pro-military, pro-America when he does these things. I think that's a great little catch for me. Like I connect with him on that. I love that he's directed some huge movies, Transformers, Bad Boys, and a bunch of other movies.
Yeah.
And I think, so I like it. I like him as a director. If he's on it, I'm going to jump in there and I'm going to watch that movie. And then, but Armageddon for me, yeah, it's an 8 out of 10, but it's definitely one I'll watch and be happy when I do.
Nice.
And I would watch Deep Impact too. I do like that one as well.
It's okay. I'm going to end with a couple of quotes that I really liked about this. Kind of go back and forth because again, it's like last check, it was 43% in Rotten Tomatoes. Film scholar Janine Basinger, who also was a teacher of Michael Bay. This is what she says. She said the film is a, quote, work of art by a cutting edge artist who is a master of movement, light, color, and shape.
What?
And also of chaos, razzle dazzle, and explosion.
Razzle dazzle.
Yeah, but this is what I really like. And I don't know if I agree with that, but I do like this. She also says that in the first few moments of the film, all the main characters are well established. And I do think that is true, at least the main characters. There's a ton of characters we don't get a lot from. But we basically get to know all the ones that are going to last throughout the film. We get to know Steve Buscemi's character, Michael Clark, Ben Affleck's, and Bruce Willis's, and Billy Bob Thornton's and whatnot. Here's my last thing. And I love that this is true because we kind of hinted at this. Neil deGrasse Tyson, when he was on Colbert, said that up until the release of Moonfall in 2022, Armageddon was, and according to him, the movie which violated more laws of physics per minute than any other movie ever. Yes.
Oh,
love that so much.
That makes me like the movie more.
Right? They're just
like if it was just kind of bad, it would be like, oh, nope. Come on, you could have done better. But it's
We're
the
going
worst.
For it.
All right.
Don't care. So that's my.
I mean, they have the throwaway line in there about how the gravity will be unpredictable on the asteroid. So who's to say?
Who's to say? Have you been on an asteroid? No, you haven't. So what can you say?
Scariest environment imaginable.
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
That's all you have to say. Scariest environment imaginable.
All right, let's get out of here. And as we close, we just want to say thank you so much for listening. If you'd like to connect with us, you can find us on X and Facebook. Email us at readingbetweenreels@gmail.com or use the SpeakPipe app on our website. And if you enjoyed the show, please subscribe and tell a friend. And you can support us by writing an iTunes review. One last thing, our next few episodes will be a series of conversations between my ELA classes and some very special guests. We hope you'll check those out and let us know what you think.